to the 2018 Citroen C3 Aircross, and this is Citroen's newest addition to the kind of crossover SUV segment, in that it's an SUV which can go off-road but isn't specifically designed to go off-road. This one especially is designed to go in a city centre with good fuel economy and a great turning radius. Now this one, Flare, is on the road at just under £19,000. This one's powered by a 3-cylinder 1.2 petrol engine which has 130 brake horsepower and around about 150 pounds per foot torque. It gets to 60 miles an hour in 10 seconds and has a top speed of a claimed 130 miles an hour. The main thing to note is that this isn't four-wheel drive, this is a two-wheel drive, and for a small additional option you can have a clever grip addition technology added. So it means the two-wheel drive is a bit more intelligent. It gives you things like snow mode, ice mode, sand, all those bits, but effectively you still have a front-wheel drive crossover SUV. If you watch Music Motors regularly, you will know that fuel economy to me is a important factor, a very important factor. So when a manufacturer makes a claim that their car can get 43 to 45 miles per gallon around town, as in urban, I want to see if it can do that. So all the claims of this are that it can quite easily get that around town, and on the motorway you're going to see it minimum mid-50s, even up to like almost 60 miles per gallon. I'm not so interested in the motorway because motorway is a bit of luck, but urban, well, traffic lights, traffic, start, stop. Is it going to achieve it on a light, middle of the day kind of commute? Let's see. .3, so ever so slightly under what they say is achievable, but that was on a very clear run. Add a normal amount of urban congestion into it and you're going to be seeing more mid-30s, but on a good run you could potentially see even above the written figure, but it would have to be a very good run. So starting with the outside, it's a typically French bold design in that it's not garish, it's just very outgoing in the design language that's going on. Some very big features and a lot of pedestrian safety features going on the outside, with some nice diamond cut alloys and easy access to get in. From the outside looking in, it's not a bad looking car, but on the outside that's about as far as I can go, because there's nothing that really shouts look at me about this. It is a bright red colour, but aside from that it could just blend in with a lot of other French cars on the road. Not to say it's bland, it's just there are a lot of very bold French statements on the road these days. This adds to it with a bit more of a crossover technology. The inside, it's it's what you expect for £19,000. It's comfortable, it's easy to drive. The infotainment is ever so slightly out of date, and you will see this with other PSA group cars. For instance, the 308 GTI has the same nav. I do think it could do with being updated. Not to say that it's bad, because there are people out there who have just released new cars with new infotainment, which is worse. It's just that I know that there are better options available. Equipment test. So this is a big-ish car, but realistically it is still just a Citroen C3, just a bit jacked up. So I'm expecting this. All my normal equipment is going to go in the boot, but my base will not. There will be a fair bit of space left over, but not quite enough to fit the length of the base that goes sideways. Not a bad thing. This isn't a car which is sold to be able to do it, but let's see. You never know. So everything fits in. There was actually less space than I thought there was going to be, but it's still not bad considering, again, this is a C3, so we're talking A-class size boot. That's exactly what it's got. When it comes to driving, it's a relatively numb feel, not in a bad way, in that you don't get too much road feedback. So if you are looking for a car which is easy to drive, the pedal feel is, well, it's what you expect on a £19,000 car, then this is going to be the one for you. This vehicle is very easy to drive around town, and the 6-speed box is very smooth. When it comes to your passengers, well, you have quite a lot of space, front and rear, for them. Your rear passengers will be especially happy because there is substantial legroom back there for them. Add on the fact that you've got ISOFIX, the fact that it's quite easy to load stuff in and out, and you're looking at a relatively ideal family car, which again has a very good lock for the city. When you finally do come up to the boot, well, you think it's a big car and it's going to take a lot of stuff, but this is actually a lot smaller than you give it credit for. This isn't that much bigger on the inside than something like a Mercedes A-Class boot, for instance, ever so slightly bigger, but it gives you a bit more of an upper driving position. Now, performance-wise, this, for a 1.2 3-cylinder, does superbly well. It claims on paper that it's a 130 brake horsepower, 150 pound-per-foot of torque, does 0 to 60 in about 10 seconds, and has a top speed of about 120, 125 miles an hour, and that's all totally believable. And actually, around town, it's a very nippy engine, and that's because all that torque comes in at 1750 RPM, so that's exactly where you're driving around town, so nips around really, really well. Visibility from a performance point of view is good. The mirrors are big, however the arches kind of roll out. That's to go with the crossover SUV look, which means when you're parking up against the curb it can be a little bit daunting until you know the car, to make sure you know where those alloys are. When it comes to driving feel, well, the steering isn't totally disconnected, but you don't get much feedback. Now that's because the type of person that drives this doesn't want steering feedback as much as I do when I drive my cars. You're driving this because it's a good run around city car which returns good fuel economy. Continue on to that fuel economy. This has a very high claim of fuel economy in that on extra urban runs you're supposed to see mid to high 50s, and on urban you're supposed to see, well, mid to high 40s, but realistically I found that not so true in real world driving. If you're really careful, then maybe you're going to see some of the claim figures, but in the real world you're going to see around about 38 to 42 around town, and probably 44 to 48/49 on a run at the very, very best. Now that's not to say that's a bad figure, because do again bear in mind this is a 1.2 3-cylinder moving a relatively big car. It's geek test time, and simple as that. All my equipment's in the back. I want to see what the real world general fuel economy is going to be on a run, and let's go and let's find out. Including a quick stop and basically a combined run, 43.7 miles per gallon, which isn't anywhere near the claimed, but is a reasonable for a 1.2 3-cylinder bigger car on a run at motorway speeds and then accelerating, and it's done really well for what powers it. Imagine this with a 1.6 litre diesel. So you've covered the outside, the inside, and the performance side of this. So now I'll come to a summary. This is a middle-of-the-road car when you're not sure you want something really cheap, but you're not sure you want something really expensive. It gives you ample technology like keyless entry, keyless start, auto wipers, auto lights, and a multitude of things for a good price. It's built very, very well, and really is kind of showing us that Citroen aren't making these cheap, unreliable cars anymore. It's an extremely easy car to drive, and really there are no quibbles. You're paying £19,000 for a car, that's what you expect. So I think Citroen's done a very, very good job in making sure that anyone who wants a bit more clearance, someone who wants to sit higher up, but equally they want to get good fuel economy, they can do that quite easily with this C3. It's easy peasy.